Hi everyone. I'm here to talk to you about things that go bump in the night. Ghosts, entities, paranormal activity. We all sense it in some ways. You know, you could enter a house or enter a space and it just feels strange. It doesn't feel right. Or you see something, things feel, the hair on the back of your neck comes up. It's a fabulous thing to be able to connect with the energy of people that have come before us. And all energy is pretty much here and present. In my experience, nearly every house has an entity in it of some description, whether small amounts of energy left over or profound energy that you literally feel like you do not want to walk in the door. Energy is left in spaces, particularly buildings, in my experience, when there has been a really heightened energetic happening of some description. A sudden event, a sudden death, a sudden illness, emotional outbursts. They can also be prolonged. So if it's been a prolonged issue in that area over time, it can end up residing in that space. A lot of time the ghost or the energy or the entity or the feeling that you get in that space is wanting to be recognized and seen. And if not recognized and seen, they can start to muck up. They can start to want to get a lot more attention, to bring more attention to themselves. So the energy can be healed, alchemized, and moved on. In my experience, these can be energies of people past, but also energies of people still living, but the energy residing in the home. They may have left the premises, but they were there for a very long time and did repetitive things with repetitive energy signatures, as in repetitive thought processes, behaviors, actions. Most of the time, the way we perceive it becomes from a negative place. So if there was a lot of anger in a property, in an area, it will reside there until it is recognized, acknowledged, and moved on. A lot of the time in my experience, I'll go into a place and I can sense what I would call a shadow area in a place. I can normally do it from the exterior. I don't even have to go into the property. But it'll be a shadow of what was there, what happened over time, or what happened in a short period of time. In my experience, I go in and I start to see the individual or individuals as they were when the experience happened. So it can be from a long time ago, or it can be from only, a couple of years back. But I go in and I see the individual or individuals and the space as it was then. It's a fascinating thing to see the times, how they dressed or what was going on, how the house was decorated, how furniture was in the space, and where the individual is in that space. Once again, in my experience, I will acknowledge that individual. I will see them for how they looked then, their age, their gender, their clothing, the room they're in. And I find it very interesting that a lot of the time I will, in my mind, say, hello, I see you. And nearly every time they turn around and go, you see me? Yeah, I see you. And just in that, there is a huge release of emotion, relief, a surrender of that energy in that space. Oh my God, I am seen. And then once they realize they are seen, they want to be heard. They want to be heard. So I'll get the feeling over my body of the emotions that ended up being seated in that area by the individual or individuals or the exterior surrounding that person. A lot of the time it's negative emotions, fear, grief, frustration, anger, rage, isolation, all the lower base energies get stuck in places. And the spirit or ghost, as you would say, wants to impart that emotion towards me so I feel it. They'll often say, can you feel this? And then project that energy out towards me. Now, in my opinion, that's the strange feeling that you feel when you enter a space or an area. It's normally you feel quite down or low or frustrated, or you just don't want to go into that space because it doesn't feel good. It's a residue of the energy that has been captured in that area. It resides in that area. And it's a simple process once that happens to acknowledge that individual for where they were, how it was, to feel that emotion through my body, whether it's anger, grief, desperation, and transmute that by saying, I not just see you, I not just hear what you have to say, but I also feel what you have to tell me. I feel it. I feel the grief. I feel the frustration. I see all of you. By doing that, the individual can feel individual. Could be past or could be present. Will have a massive sense of relief. Others in the area, when I do this work, can literally feel like they feel those emotions. It permeates into the area, because I end up, I think, becoming a conduit and actually I elevate those emotions in the space for a brief moment, so they are very profoundly felt. A lot of the time then I can then start to process and speak aloud or through my mind to that entity and tell them that these energies are felt, understood, and appreciated, that they have shared it, and give them the understanding that it is no longer appropriate to have these emotions in this space. That this is past, that this has happened, it's over, and to help them transition, the energy transition on to the other side. Now, in my opinion, I feel it's just a remnant. It is not current, it's a remnant, but it needs to be expressed and heard. It needs to be felt. So I would counsel these entities, ghosts, to help them release this energy, to help them process, and to also help them transition. Over time, it doesn't take these entities very long. At times, other times, if it has been acute emotional situations or grievous, it can take several sessions to move this energy on. But it's wonderful to get a picture of this person. And I like to go in and help people who have something they feel is in their home. I will connect with the energy in the house and I will describe it to the homeowner. An example is our friend and I went out the other evening, and that friend asked me about their property because their property had been shaking. And I can hook into the property through the person sitting in front of me. I can explain what their house looks like even if I've never entered it, and where the energy resides in the home. The homeowner, pretty much 100% of the time, will clarify that that's where the energy has been an issue in the home, which I find fascinating. Once I get the energy area, like where the energy is, I will then get into what or whom left that energy. In this example, I picked up a young child, female young child, in a A-line dress. And she was very playful. But she was very determined for me to see her. Interestingly enough, she was very determined for me to see her dance. She liked doing it. She showed me her twirl and her skirt. I also then picked up that this beautiful little girl had died of something to do with her chest, pneumonia, some sort of chest issue, like couldn't breathe. But she always wanted to be a dancer. She told me her parents had been dancers, and she would sit outside back in the day, sit outside the dance hall and watch her parents dance. She used to love to watch the older people dance. And she dreamed one day of being a dancer. When that wasn't actualized for that beautiful child, she resided in that space. Her energy's still there. And she danced. Interestingly enough, that's when she said, oh, I can dance a bit, I can get a bit boisterous. And she goes, I think I shake the house. So I could tell the homeowner, your house shakes because there's a little girl dancing in it. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. And she communicated with me that she would like the area that she was residing to be tidied. I can't dance, she said. But I said to her, it's now time to dance on the other side, where you'll be able to dance as long as you'd like to dance. But interestingly enough, she resided in a property that had a dance hall right next to it. And the woman that had moved into this property quite some years ago and had been aware of the shaking in the home and various sounds and things like that. The current resident of the house was not scared one bit. Why? She had been a dancer. So my humble opinion is beautiful. It's beautiful that the home, particularly if there is an energy residing in it, will choose the homeowner, will choose someone that either will love to be in their energy, or on the polarity opposite, will choose somebody that is not in agreement with the energy, so the energy can be felt and moved on. All of us have this ability to some level. Our spidey senses pick up and feel energy in spaces. The best way, in my opinion, to hook into the energy of any space, whether you feel it's nefarious or not, is to shut your eyes and see if you can feel a shadow somewhere. That shadow may not be something evil. It could be a little girl dancing who never got the chance to dance. And as she was leaving the earthly plane, it was a whole massive emotional thing that she would never get a chance to dance. So it resided in the property. But now the homeowner is delighted at the idea of that beautiful child dancing. I am, that's for sure. In an example of the opposite, I've gone into properties and there has been people that have passed on quite suddenly. They're not quite aware that they have gone. They're just back in the house where they resided. An example of a young gentleman that had lost his life in the First World War. He resided in one of the homes I lived in, leaning against a wall in his uniform, in sheer desperation. He had come back to his family home only to find no one there, because he had passed on. He had passed on. And he hadn't connected to the people in the home, or they had moved during his absence at the war. But he was staying in the home, waiting for his loved ones to return, which never happened. It took me a little while to get his energy, because when I reside in a home, I sort of block it all out. But it took me a while to get his energy. And he just needed to know that he was gone. And that it was okay to meet up with his family, his loved ones on the other side. Now they're waiting for him. It did take a lot of reasoning with this young gentleman. He had been there for quite some time. But he had not brought any negativity into the property. So he was quite quiet ghost, you could say. But yes, indeed, he resided there. But there was a feeling of sadness in the hallway. So I acknowledged him, I felt his emotions, I counselled him and helped him move on. In my experience, when they decide to move on, it can take some time. They turn to their right. They turn to their right and they go this way. At other times, I've had one turn to the left and go that way. And that energy re-entered into the property. My experience. So, if you hear things going bump in the night, or you feel something strange, it isn't necessarily something to be feared at all. Not at all. Open yourself up to see if you can sense feel the energy that resides, the emotion that is in that area. It's very easy to fall back into being fearful because there's something that out of the corner of your eyes that you don't quite know. Horror movies and ghost movies and all that have been extremely good at depicting ghosts or entities in a very negative light. And that is certainly, in my experience, a rare occurrence. Yes, there are entities that have nefarious and very dark intentions with where they're residing. And that, in my humble opinion, comes from the existence they had, the circumstances that they lived under, their mental and emotional situation. But a lot of ghosts are just remnants of individuals that have been emotionally stuck. Like we would counsel the living, it's important to counsel the dead, because we all need healing. It's a beautiful thing. Anyway, I really hope that helped. And don't be afraid of things that go bump in the night. As I said, it could be a little beautiful girl dancing. Anyway, thank you so much, and bye for now.